Okay, so have you ever realized that something you've been doing for self-care for years, maybe your whole life, was actually completely wrong? Because this just happened to me. I went to the dentist recently. I live abroad, so I'd been putting it off for a while. And when I finally went, they showed me that I didn't even know how to brush my teeth correctly. Like, not here's a slightly better method. I mean the actual technique to minimize damage and clean your teeth. It's actually called the Bass technique. I had to look it up after online, and the dentist literally demonstrated on a model. Like, I was a child, and my friend who came with me, he grew up in a different country. Afterwards, he goes, wait, didn't they send people into schools to teach you this when you were little? And I just didn't know how to answer because I don't know. Maybe, but clearly it didn't stick, and no one ever corrected me either. So I just kept going, and that's the thing. Of course, we're doing some of this wrong. You learned most of this when you were tiny. Your parents learned it when they were children. Nobody sat either of you down and said, okay, here's the correct information from someone that is qualified to talk about it. You just copied it, guessed, and repeated, and then the repetition made it feel right. There's actually a name for this when I looked it up. It's called fluency bias. Your brain interprets ease as correctness. So the more automatic something feels, the more certain you are that you're doing it properly, even if you're not. My partner is actually a perfect example. No one, not one person in his entire life ever explained to him the most basic face washing routine. Cleanser first, then any active ingredients, and then afterwards, moisturizer. And sunscreen in the morning, of course. That's it. And everyone around him, his mother, sisters, past partners, just assumed like he knew. But he didn't, because nobody actually told him. Everyone assumed someone else had already covered it, or he already knew. And honestly, that's most of us. So a big part of actually learning to take care of yourself is just unlearning things or learning them properly for the first time. And what's interesting is that it's not always an information problem. Sometimes it's an ego problem, because a lot of these habits came from people who raised us. And questioning them feels a bit like saying they got it wrong and their parents got it wrong, which is uncomfortable, so we don't look too closely. I did this with my own skincare for years. I have combination skin, and I was using this thick, heavy moisturizer from a French brand I love, La Roche-Posay. And I thought, great, like, this is good skincare. It feels, amazing, especially at night. Then I moved somewhere very hot and dry, and my pores were constantly filled. And I kept thinking, like, what is happening? It took me so long to connect the dots. The product wasn't bad. It just wasn't right for my climate anymore, and honestly, it wasn't right for my skin in the first place. But my environment had completely changed, and my routine hadn't moved at all. And that's a bigger pattern, right? We treat our habits like they're finished, like we figured something out once and now it's done. But also our bodies are constantly changing. The climate changes, our stress changes, our diet changes, and our habits need to actually adapt to that. Nothing in the body is a one-time event. It's all maintenance and consistency. Like, you can't work out hard for 5 months, 5 years, and then do nothing for 2 more decades. You can't fix your skin once. You can't take iron for a bit and then stop and wonder why your nails are weak again. Everything is ongoing. And I think people, and personally, I resisted that mentally, because maintenance, or that you have to do it all the time forever, it means you're never finished. There's no moment where you've arrived. It's uncomfortable and annoying, but it's just how it works. You can't brush your teeth once and then they'll stay clean forever. And the other thing that gets me is self-care has a really slow feedback loop, and personally, I'm bad at slow. Like, you drink water and you can feel better immediately. Your brain, or my brain, can connect those dots easily. But if my diet has been low in protein for a few months, I'm not going to notice it in my hair or nails until weeks later. If you've been using cheap sunscreen that isn't actually protecting you, you won't see it until the damage is already done. If you're not moving enough, you might feel slightly more stressed and irritable and flat without ever, figuring it out. My partner bought this cheap sunscreen. I told him to throw it out. He didn't listen at first. And then I had told him because I had gotten a sunburn while wearing it. He switched to a better one after months of using this one, and the day comes back to me genuinely shocked at the difference. And that's just one product. Multiply that across everything you do, everything you use daily, and you start to see how much you're just running on autopilot without ever being questioned. Even small things, like I discovered my hand soap affects if I have dry skin on my hands, that the quality and the moisture it has really affects things that you would never think about. Press-on nails have an entire preparation ritual that no one tells you, like buffing, dehydrating, cuticle work, heating the glue, timing the pressure, how long. I just stuck them on once and they fell off immediately. I thought the product was bad. It wasn't. I just had no idea what I was doing. And honestly, if you grew up in a family that wasn't very focused on appearance or beauty, and I say that with no judgment because my own family prioritizes character and inner qualities over looks, which is, genuinely lovely, but the practical side of self-care can just fall through the cracks completely. It's no one's fault. It just wasn't the focus. So here's what I took away from this. I started thinking of self-care as a system that I'm still updating and will constantly be updating until I die. Not something like I figured out years ago or now and I can leave it alone. The problem, your own body is not a problem you solved. It's something you're in an ongoing relationship with, mentally, physically, psychologically. And I asked myself, honestly, what am I still doing just because I've always done it? What feels normal only because no one ever showed me differently? because the gap isn't, usually discipline, it's information. It's just never having the right person showing you the right thing at the right time. And the good news is all of us can learn it now. We can learn it in the future. You can go get a blood test, actually read the ingredients on your products and research them and figure out what your issues are. Look up, whether you're using your skincare in the right order, putting yourself together even on days you're not leaving the house, or if you work online, not for anyone else, but because you're the most important person you're doing this for. Treating yourself like someone worth paying close attention to is the most impactful, because all of us are the most important person to ourselves.